You know him as the director who gave us some of the most beloved films in cinema history. You've laughed at his jokes, cried at his stories, and quoted his movies for decades. But behind the camera, behind the accolades and the standing ovations, there's a story that rarely gets told. A story of love, loss, redemption, and the kind of partnership that doesn't just survive Hollywood, but thrives in it. Rob Reiner's journey through marriage, heartbreak, and finding love again is more compelling than any screenplay he's ever directed. And today, we're diving deep into the personal life of a man who's spent his career telling other people's stories, but whose own life reads like the most captivating drama you've never seen on screen. Stick around, because what you're about to discover will change the way you see not just Rob Reiner, but the very nature of love, partnership, and second chances in the unforgiving spotlight of Hollywood. Rob Reiner didn't just stumble into greatness, he was practically born into it. But before we get to the love stories that would define his personal life, we need to understand the foundation. Born on March 6, 1947, in the Bronx, New York, Robert Norman Reiner was the son of comedy legend Carl Reiner and singer Estelle Reiner. Growing up in a household where creativity wasn't just encouraged, but was the very air they breathed, young Rob learned early that entertainment was in his blood. His father, Carl, was already making waves in television, and the Reiner household was a revolving door of comedic genius, writers, and performers who would shape the landscape of American entertainment for generations. But having famous parents isn't always the blessing it appears to be from the outside. Rob grew up with the weight of expectation, the constant comparison, and the nagging question that haunts every child of a legend. Could he ever step out of that massive shadow? The answer, as history would show, was a resounding yes. But the path to that answer would be paved with personal struggles, including battles with substance abuse and the complexities of relationships in an industry that chews up marriages and spits them out with alarming regularity. Rob's first taste of real fame came not as a director, but as an actor. In 1971, he landed the role that would make him a household name, Michael Stivic, affectionately nicknamed Meathead by his television father-in-law Archie Bunker, in the groundbreaking sitcom All in the Family. The show was revolutionary for its time, tackling subjects that polite television had avoided: racism, sexuality, women's liberation, the Vietnam War. And Rob, as the liberal son-in-law constantly butting heads with Carol O'Connor's brilliantly portrayed bigoted patriarch, became the voice of a generation struggling to break free from the prejudices of the past. For 8 seasons, from 1971 to 1979, Rob Reiner was in American living rooms every week. He wasn't just acting, he was part of a cultural phenomenon that changed what television could be. He earned 2 Emmy Awards for his performance, cementing his status as a talented actor. But even as his career soared, his personal life was about to take a turn that would test him in ways no script could prepare him for. It was during this period of professional triumph that Rob Reiner met his first wife, Penny Marshall. Now, if you think you know this story, think again, because the Reiner-Marshall union was one of those Hollywood partnerships that seemed destined for greatness. Penny Marshall, born Carol Penny Marshall in 1943, was herself on the cusp of television immortality. She would soon become Laverne DeFazio in Laverne and Shirley, one of the most successful sitcoms of the 70s and 80s. Rob and Penny married on April 10, 1971, the same year Rob began his stint on All in the Family. Here were 2 people at the beginning of extraordinary careers, 2 talents who understood the demands of the industry, 2 individuals who could theoretically support each other through the unique pressures of Hollywood fame. Penny brought a daughter, Tracy, from her previous marriage to Michael Henry, and Rob embraced his role as stepfather with the same commitment he brought to his craft. The early years of their marriage coincided with an explosion of success for both of them. Rob was becoming one of the most recognized faces on television, while Penny was developing the comic timing and likability that would make her a star in her own right. They were Hollywood's golden couple, attending industry events, supporting each other's projects, and from the outside, living the dream that millions could only fantasize about. But here's what the cameras didn't capture, what the fan magazines didn't print, what the smiling photographs at premieres couldn't reveal. Rob Reiner was struggling. Beneath the success, beneath the laughter he generated on screen, he was battling demons that threatened to consume him. Substance abuse, a problem that has claimed countless talented individuals in Hollywood, had its hooks in him. The pressures of fame, the constant scrutiny, the fear of failure, and perhaps the need to prove he was more than just Carl Reiner's son, all contributed to a spiral that was affecting every aspect of his life, including his marriage. Addiction doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care how talented you are, how much money you have, or how much people love you. It's a disease that isolates, that turns the people closest to you into either enablers or enemies, and that distorts reality until the substance becomes the only thing that makes sense. Rob has been open in later years about this period of his life, acknowledging that his cocaine use and other substance abuse issues created chaos, not just for him, but for everyone who loved him. For Penny Marshall, watching someone you love self-destruct is its own special kind of torture. She was building her own career, dealing with her own pressures, and trying to navigate a marriage that was crumbling under the weight of addiction. The strain became too much. Despite their shared understanding of the industry, despite their mutual respect for each other's talents, despite whatever love they had, or perhaps because of the love she had for herself and her daughter, Penny made the difficult decision to end the marriage. In 1979, after 8 years of marriage, Rob Reiner and Penny Marshall divorced. It was a split that, like many Hollywood divorces, was covered in the press but whose true emotional toll could never be fully captured in headlines. The end of a marriage is always complicated, but when both parties are public figures, when their lives have been lived partially in the public eye, the pain becomes a spectacle. The healing has to happen while people watch and speculate. For Rob Reiner, the divorce was a rock-bottom moment. Here he was, professionally successful but personally devastated, forced to confront the reality that his addiction had cost him his marriage and nearly cost him everything else. It's in these moments, these crucibles of pain and loss, that people either crumble completely or find the strength to rebuild. Rob chose the latter. The early 1980s became a period of transformation for Rob Reiner. He got sober, a process that requires not just stopping the use of substances, but completely rewiring how you think, how you cope with stress, how you exist in the world. Recovery is never a straight line, and it requires brutal honesty about who you've been and who you want to become. Rob threw himself into this process with the same intensity he brought to his acting. And it was during this period of personal reconstruction that Rob Reiner's career took a turn that would define his legacy. In 1984, he directed his first feature film. This is Spinal Tap, a mockumentary about a fictional rock band that would become a cult classic and essentially create the mockumentary genre as we know it. The film was a critical success, showcasing Rob's ability to understand comedy on a deeper level than just delivering punchlines. But it was his next series of films that would cement his place among the great directors of his generation. In 1985, he directed The Sure Thing, a romantic comedy that showed his skill with the genre. Then came 1980's SXS Stand By Me, based on Stephen King's novella, a coming-of-age story that resonated with audiences and critics alike, earning acclaim for its honest portrayal of childhood friendship and the loss of innocence. Rob Reiner wasn't just a former sitcom actor trying his hand at directing. He was the real deal, a filmmaker with vision, emotional intelligence, and the technical skill to bring stories to life in ways that moved people. In 1987, he gave us The Princess Bride, a fairy tale adventure that would become one of the most quotable and beloved films in cinema history. As You Wish. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Inconceivable. The film was a modest success upon release, but grew into a cultural phenomenon, introducing generations to the story of true love, revenge, and rodents of unusual size. Then, in 1989, Rob Reiner directed what many consider his masterpiece. When Harry Met Sally, the romantic comedy starring Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan that asked the question, can men and women be friends without sex getting in the way? The film was a massive success, earning critical acclaim and solidifying Rob's reputation as one of the premier directors of romantic comedies. The famous diner scene, with Meg Ryan's character faking an orgasm and the older woman saying, "I'll have what she's having," delivered by Rob's own mother, Estelle Reiner, became one of the most iconic moments in film history. Professionally, Rob Reiner was on an unprecedented hot streak. But personally, something was missing. Success, sobriety, and critical acclaim are wonderful, but they don't keep you warm at night. They don't laugh at your jokes over breakfast. They don't hold your hand when you're worried or scared. Rob Reiner, now in his 40s, was thriving professionally but still searching for that personal connection, that partnership that makes life more than just a series of accomplishments. And then, in the late 1980s, Rob met Michele Singer. Now, Michele wasn't from the entertainment industry, and perhaps that was part of the appeal. She was a photographer and later would become a filmmaker in her own right, but she brought a different energy to Rob's life. One that wasn't consumed by the Hollywood machine, one that offered perspective and grounding in a world that often lacks both. Michele Singer, born Michele Yvette Singer, was intelligent, creative, and independent. She had her own life, her own career, her own identity separate from whoever she might be dating. And for Rob, who had been through the crucible of addiction, divorce, and the relentless pressure of maintaining success in an industry where you're only as good as your last project, Michele represented something genuine, something real. Their relationship developed during the period when Rob was creating some of his best work. After When Harry Met Sally, he continued his remarkable run with Misery in 1990, a psychological thriller based on another Stephen King novel, starring Kathy Bates in an Oscar-winning performance as the obsessive fan Annie Wilkes. The film showed Rob's range. He wasn't just a comedy guy. He could handle suspense, drama, and complex character studies with equal skill. In 1992, he directed A Few Good Men, the military courtroom drama starring Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, and Demi Moore. The film gave us another iconic line, "You can't handle the truth," and was nominated for 4 Academy Awards. Rob Reiner was at the peak of his powers as a director, and by his side, supporting him through the pressures and triumphs, was Michele. On May 19, 1989, Rob Reiner and Michele Singer got married. This time, Rob wasn't the young actor trying to navigate fame and personal demons simultaneously. He was a sober, successful director who had done the work to understand himself, to confront his past, and to build a life on a foundation of honesty and self-awareness. Michele wasn't just marrying a Hollywood director. She was partnering with someone who understood the value of commitment, who had learned through painful experience what it meant to lose something precious, and who was determined not to make the same mistakes twice. Together, Rob and Michele would have 3 children: Jake Reiner, born in 1991, Nick Reiner, born in 1992, and Romy Reiner, born in 1994. Suddenly, Rob Reiner wasn't just a director and former actor. He was a family man, a father to 4 children including his stepdaughter Tracy, navigating the challenges of parenthood while continuing to create films that touched millions. The 1990s saw Rob continue to direct a diverse range of films. The American President in 1995 gave us a romantic political drama starring Michael Douglas and Annette Bening, a film that would later inspire the television series The West Wing. His films weren't always critical darlings. North in 1994 was poorly received, but he kept working, kept creating, kept pushing himself in different directions. But here's what makes Rob Reiner's story with Michele so compelling. Their partnership wasn't just about romantic love or raising children together. Michele began to develop her own voice as a filmmaker. She directed documentaries, including All These Sleepless Nights and other projects that showcased her own artistic vision. Rather than being lost in Rob's shadow or defined solely as Rob Reiner's wife, Michele carved out her own identity in the film world. This dynamic, 2 creative people supporting each other's visions, raising a family together, navigating the unique challenges of Hollywood while maintaining a sense of normalcy for their children, is what makes their relationship so instructive. Marriage in Hollywood is notoriously difficult. The divorce rate among celebrities is astronomical. The pressures of fame, the time spent apart on location, the temptations, the egos, the constant scrutiny, all of these factors contribute to relationships falling apart. Yet Rob and Michele built something that lasted. As of 2025, they've been married for over 35 years, a remarkable achievement in any context, but especially in Hollywood. How did they do it? What's the secret to their enduring partnership? First, there's the foundation of Rob's sobriety and personal growth. You can't build a healthy relationship if you're not healthy yourself. Rob's work to overcome his addiction, to understand himself, and to address the issues that led to his substance abuse in the first place created a strong foundation for his second marriage. He brought a different version of himself to his relationship with Michele. Not a perfect version, because perfection is impossible, but a more honest, more self-aware version. Second, there's the mutual respect for each other's work and independence. Michele wasn't looking to be taken care of or to live vicariously through Rob's success. She had her own creative ambitions, and Rob supported them. This kind of partnership, where both people maintain their own identities while building a shared life, creates a balance that's crucial for long-term success. Third, there's the shared commitment to family. Rob and Michele prioritized their children, creating an environment where, despite their parents' fame, the kids could have as normal a childhood as possible. Rob has spoken in interviews about the importance of being present for his children, of not letting work completely consume him, of finding balance between his professional ambitions and his personal life. Fourth, there's the ability to weather storms together. Every long-term relationship faces challenges: financial stress, health issues, disagreements about major decisions, the inevitable changes that come as people age and evolve. Rob and Michele have faced these challenges together, communicating, compromising, and maintaining their commitment to each other even when things get difficult. Rob's career continued through the 2000s and 2010s, though he never quite recaptured the magic of his late 1980s and early 1990s run. He directed films like The Bucket List in 2007, starring Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman, about two terminally ill men who embark on a road trip with a wish list of things to do before they die. The film resonated with audiences, exploring themes of mortality, friendship, and living life to its fullest. He also became increasingly politically active, using his platform to advocate for causes he believed in. Rob Reiner has been vocal about progressive politics, environmental issues, children's advocacy, and numerous other causes. This activism has sometimes made him a polarizing figure, but it also reflects someone who believes in using his success and platform for purposes beyond entertainment. Michele, meanwhile, continued her work as a photographer and filmmaker, often collaborating with Rob on projects or pursuing her own creative endeavors. She also became involved in various philanthropic efforts, particularly those focused on children and education. Their children have grown up largely out of the spotlight, a testament to Rob and Michele's efforts to protect them from the more invasive aspects of fame. While some celebrity children follow their parents into entertainment, Rob and Michele's kids have been allowed to find their own paths, supported by parents who understand that success isn't defined solely by Hollywood standards. As Rob entered his 70s, he could look back on a career that spans over 5 decades, that includes some of the most beloved films in American cinema, and that showcases remarkable range and talent. But perhaps more importantly, he could look at his personal life and see the family he built with Michele, the relationships he maintained despite the pressures that destroyed so many others, and the personal growth that transformed him from a young actor battling addiction to a husband, father, and artist who found balance and purpose. The story of Rob Reiner and Michele Singer isn't just a celebrity marriage that lasted. It's a testament to the power of personal transformation, the importance of partnership, and the possibility of second chances. Rob's first marriage ended in part because he wasn't ready, wasn't healthy, wasn't equipped to be the partner that a successful marriage requires. His second marriage has thrived because he did the hard work to become that person. There's something deeply American about Rob Reiner's story. The son of a famous father who carved out his own identity. The actor who became an even more successful director. The man who hit rock bottom with addiction and climbed back to build a life of sobriety and success. The divorced man who found love again and built a lasting partnership. It's a story of redemption, resilience, and the refusal to let past mistakes define your future. When you watch Rob Reiner's films, the humor of This Is Spinal Tap, the nostalgia of Stand By Me, the romance of The Princess Bride, and When Harry Met Sally, the suspense of Misery, the drama of A Few Good Men. You're watching the work of someone who understands human emotion deeply, who has experienced joy and pain, success and failure, love and loss. His films resonate because they come from a place of authentic human experience. And behind that experience, supporting those films, sharing in those triumphs and challenges, has been Michele Singer Reiner. Their partnership represents what's possible when two people commit not just to each other, but to the work of maintaining that commitment through decades of change, challenge, and growth. In an industry where marriages often serve as publicity opportunities or strategic partnerships, where relationships are disposable and loyalty is rare, Rob and Michele built something real. They raised a family. They supported each other's dreams. They navigated the unique challenges of Hollywood while maintaining their values and priorities. They showed that it's possible to have success without sacrificing your personal life, that fame doesn't have to destroy relationships, that second chances can lead to lasting happiness. Rob Reiner's legacy will include his films, his acting work, his political activism, and his contributions to American culture. But perhaps his most important legacy is the example he set in his personal life. That it's never too late to change, that the work of personal growth is always worth it, that love can be found again after heartbreak, and that with commitment, respect, and effort, partnerships can not only survive but thrive. As we look at Rob and Michele's relationship, now spanning over 3 decades, we see a modern love story that's all the more powerful because it's real. It's not a fairy tale where everything is perfect from the start. It's not a Hollywood ending where problems magically resolve themselves. It's the story of 2 people who chose each other, who continue to choose each other every day, who work at their relationship with the same dedication that Rob brings to his films. Their story reminds us that relationships require more than just initial attraction or compatibility. They require personal accountability, the willingness to look at yourself honestly and address your issues. They require mutual respect, valuing your partner's individuality and supporting their growth. They require communication, talking through problems rather than letting them fester. They require commitment, staying together not just when things are easy but when they're hard. For anyone who's been through divorce, who's struggled with addiction, who's felt like they've failed in relationships, Rob Reiner's story offers hope. It shows that past failures don't determine future outcomes, that the work of personal growth can transform not just your life but your capacity for healthy relationships, that it's possible to learn from mistakes and build something better. For anyone in a long-term relationship, Rob and Michele's partnership offers a model. It shows the importance of maintaining individual identities within a marriage, of supporting each other's dreams, of prioritizing family while pursuing professional success, of working through challenges together rather than giving up when things get difficult. The entertainment industry has given us countless examples of failed relationships, of marriages that crumble under the pressure of fame, of couples who look perfect on the surface but are falling apart behind closed doors. Rob and Michele Reiner offer a different narrative, one where success in personal relationships is possible, where love can last, where 2 people can grow together rather than apart. As Rob Reiner continues his career, still active and engaged in both filmmaking and activism, he does so with the foundation of a strong personal life. His relationship with Michele has been a constant through decades of professional ups and downs, providing stability, support, and partnership. The children they raised together are now adults, navigating their own lives with the values and lessons their parents instilled. In reflecting on Rob Reiner's personal life and marriage, we're reminded that the most important stories aren't always the ones told on screen. The most significant achievements aren't always the ones that win awards or make headlines. Sometimes the greatest success is simply building a life with someone you love, raising children who feel supported and valued, maintaining your integrity and values in an industry that often challenges both, and being able to look back with pride not just at your professional accomplishments, but at the relationships you've nurtured and maintained. Rob Reiner's journey from the son of a comedy legend to a sitcom star to one of Hollywood's most successful directors would be remarkable on its own. But it's his personal journey, from addiction to sobriety, from a failed marriage to a lasting partnership, from self-destruction to self-awareness, that makes his story truly inspiring. It's a reminder that we're all works in progress, that change is possible at any age, that the most valuable things in life aren't the awards on your shelf or the money in your bank account, but the people who stand by you, the relationships you build, and the love you share. Rob and Michele Reiner's story isn't finished. They continue to navigate life together, facing whatever challenges come their way with the strength of a partnership forged over decades. Their relationship stands as a testament to what's possible when 2 people commit to each other and to the work that maintaining that commitment requires. In a world that often seems cynical about love, especially lasting love in the public eye, they offer hope, inspiration, and a powerful example of what partnership can be at its best. So the next time you watch one of Rob Reiner's films, remember that behind the director who brought those stories to life is a man with his own story. One of struggle and triumph, of loss and love, of failure and redemption. And beside him, sharing in that story, supporting those dreams, building that life, is Michele Singer Reiner, his partner, his love, and his proof that second chances can lead to happily ever after. Not in the fairy tale sense, but in the real, hard-won, deeply meaningful sense that comes from 2 people choosing each other, day after day, year after year, building something that lasts.